What is the $1 Million Baby Plan and how does it work for Canadians? Let me ask you, what if you could set up a secure, tax-free financial foundation for your child or for your grandchild that grows with them and that lasts their entire life? That is exactly what the $1 Million Baby Plan does. It's not just another savings plan. It is a proven wealth building strategy that creates financial security and lifelong benefits for your child. It's really designed for Canadian parents and Canadian grandparents, and it's a strategy that uses participating whole life insurance to build a guaranteed savings, to give you tax-free growth, and to give your child lifelong protection. My name's Laurent Munier, and I'm a partner and advisor at Safe Pacific Financial, and we've been helping Canadian entrepreneurs and their families grow their wealth today and leave a lasting legacy for the next generation, and we've been doing this for more than a decade. So the $1 Million Baby Plan, it provides financial freedom for your child, and it ensures that they have access to funds for all of their life's major milestones like university tuition, buying a house, starting a business, setting up a retirement nest egg, could be weddings, all sorts of things. It's a safe and simple and tax-efficient strategy that's been around for decades, and we've modernized it to work for today's parents and grandparents in Canada. So if you want to give your child or your grandchild a huge financial advantage, this is the way to do it. So what is the $1 Million Baby Plan? It is a plan, and it's a phrase that we coined a long time ago to describe a lifetime financial strategy for your kids and your grandkids. And the $1 Million Baby Plan, it's a whole life insurance policy with really high cash surrender value that serves as life insurance, but also long-term savings vehicle for your kids or your grandkids. It's not really about traditional life insurance. It's about building generational wealth using the same strategies that high net worth families have used for generations. So it builds a large pool of tax-free savings. It provides lifelong financial security. It can be used for whatever you want: education, buying a house, business, retirement, whatever. It grows tax-free with dividends that are paid from the insurance company, and it gives your parents or grandparents full control over the funds until they choose to give up that control. By setting this up early for your kids, you maximize the amount of time that this plan can grow and compound and create that financial cushion that will support them through life's major milestones. Now, how does it work? Setting up a $1 Million Baby Plan, it's easy and it's customizable. Here's how it works. So number one, you want to set up this whole life insurance policy in a really specific way. It's a participating policy that has really high cash surrender value. The cash value grows tax-free over time, and it accumulates a savings pool. And then the earlier you start, the better. Ideally, you're doing this right away when the kids are born. Step two, you make your monthly or your annual contributions. So you decide how much you want to put in every month or every year. You know, we've got grandparents putting in $500 or $1,000 a month. And then the cash value will compound tax-free for their entire life as these policies grow through the dividends that are paid from the insurance company. And then step three, it's you're building a lifetime financial asset. So the policy grows for their entire life, and then your kids or your grandkids can borrow against it for major life events. You, as the parent or as the grandparent, maintain full control. So only you are able to touch this thing until you transfer ownership to the kids, which could be whenever you want. Another question we get all the time is who can do this for the kids? So the strategy is ideal for parents who want to provide financial security for their kids, or grandparents who want to leave a legacy, and for families who value long-term wealth building strategies. Also, this is good for anyone who wants to help their child avoid student loans or mortgages or business debt. This gives them a huge leg up and a big advantage. There's no age limit for setting this up for your kids. You can set this up for your newborn, for your toddler, or even as a teenager. This works for a broad range of children up until they become not dependent on you anymore. Then it becomes a little bit more tricky. Now, what can you use the $1 Million Baby Plan for? So it's got a huge amount of flexibility, and that's one of the reasons that we recommend it for certain families. The funds that are in the policy can be used for anything that your kids or your grandkids might need throughout their lives. So it's different from other savings plans. And the one that we usually compare it to is an RESP, which is your Registered Education Savings Plan. And that can only be used for post-secondary education, whereas a $1 million baby plan doesn't have that restriction. You can use it for whatever you want. The money inside a $1 million baby plan grows tax-free and can be accessed at any time for any financial need. So it's not just a savings account. It's really like a financial foundation for your kids or for your grandkids. And this is the way that we see families like our clients using it. So number one, for education. So paying for university or college or whatever higher education they want. This is a large expense that a lot of families face. Tuition fees in Canada continue to rise. And then you add in also the housing and the books and the computer that you got to buy and other living expenses. Sending kids to university could be anywhere today from $80,000 to $150,000. So you need some sort of money to pay for that. So with the $1 million baby plan, you can fund the tuition costs for whatever kind of school, university, college, trade school, art school, film school, anything. You can pay for all of their other expenses as well, so housing and the living expenses, without having to rely on using student loans or supplementing student loans. You can also cover the costs of your books or laptops or all of the other academic supplies, right? Like, so school costs more than just the tuition. There's all the other stuff you got to pay for. It also can provide financial support if they're going abroad or if they're doing postgrad work. So you can use the money to spend anywhere. Unlike an RESP, which comes with withdrawal restrictions, there's tax implications, the $1 million baby plan lets you access these funds anytime for any type of education without any penalties. Another thing that we see a lot of clients use this for is for home purchases. So helping kids with either a down payment or expenses with the house or renovations, all the kind of extra fees that come along with owning some sort of property. One of the biggest challenges for young adults today is affording their first home. Housing prices continue to rise, and many first-time buyers really struggle to save enough for a down payment. And, some have even said that this is never happening for them. With the $1 million baby plan, your parents or your grandparents can help to provide a down payment for their first home. They can help the kids enter the real estate market sooner. Also, by having this type of money available, you can avoid mortgage insurance costs by increasing the amount that you put down on a house. You can also help by giving your kids a financial head start without requiring them to take on traditional excessive debt. Since the funds in the policy are not tied to government restrictions, you can use them whenever you're ready to buy a house, right? So that could be you're 20 or you're 25 or 30, whatever age. So that's not restricted on a sort of amount of time, and it's not restricted by any sort of age. Another thing that we see clients do, helping their kids with, is starting a business, so funding entrepreneurial ventures. So obviously not every child is going to follow the traditional path of, go get a degree and go get a corporate job. Many young adults today are starting their own businesses more than ever before. One of the barriers to entrepreneurship is you need money to start these businesses. So the $1 million baby plan helps because it gets you tax-free access to funds that you can invest in starting up. It's also a way to avoid high-interest business loans. It's also a way to guarantee that you're going to get the money, because when you go to traditional lenders or traditional sources of financing, they're not really stoked on financing brand new startups from a young person that's never done this before. It's very tough to get a loan. Also for financial security. So while you're building your business, it reduces the risk of failure when you have money, right? So instead of relying on banks or outside investors, you can use your your kids can use their $1 million baby plan to self-fund the business and to keep all of the ownership and to keep the profit in their own hands so they don't have to dilute themselves. Another thing that we see clients using this for is major life expenses like weddings or buying vehicles or traveling. So throughout your life, you have significant expenses that come up. So instead of taking out loans or paying for things with credit cards, you can use your $1 million baby plan to cover these types of costs. So really common ones that we've seen clients do is weddings. That's for paying for the wedding, the venue, the dress, the catering, whatever, all of this stuff. Weddings are expensive. Purchasing a car. This is actually a really big one that people use their insurance policy to purchase cars. Also paying for vacations and travel. So paying for life experiences, extended vacations, studying abroad. These are really important things for kids to do as they grow up. And having the money to be able to do that, it's a huge advantage. And then since the money that's inside your policy continues to grow and compound even as they're borrowing against it. Your kids can borrow, pay it back, and then use it again for whatever the next major life event is. And then, traditional financial planning, we see a lot of families using this for retirement planning. This is a tax-free nest egg for the future, for the near future, medium future, and far future. Most young people, they're probably not thinking about retirement right now, especially as they're in their 20s and 30s. But starting early to plan for it, starting early to save for it is really a key to financial security later in life. So the $1 Million Baby Plan creates this. It creates a guaranteed tax-free retirement fund that grows over time. It offers a financial safety net in case of unexpected things happen along the way, whether that's you're losing your job or big expenses come up. It also provides a tax-free inheritance tool. So this allows the wealth to be passed down from generation to generation, tax-free and very efficiently and quickly. So how did we come up with the name $1 Million Baby Plan? Here's the very broad stroke general numbers. Again, if you're just watching this on the internet, these are very broad numbers. These may or may not apply to you. Assume they don't until you talk to us, and we'll let you know if these could apply to your situation. But here's how the numbers work, and here's where the $1 million part comes in. So if you contribute $250 per month from when your child is born, and you do this for 20 years, your child could have around $1 million in cash value inside their policy by age 65. So you start with $250 a month, you do that for 20 years. At today's dividend rates with these insurance companies that we're working with, by the time your kids hit 65, they're going to have around $1 million in their policy. And this is where we came up with the name $1 Million Baby. So this could supplement other retirement planning. So you'd have your employer pensions, government benefits, other savings like your TFSA or RRSP. This is an additional thing to it. And then really, why is this so good? So obviously I've talked about a lot of reasons here, but unlike traditional savings plans that really serve one purpose, the $1 Million Baby Plan can serve all sorts of purpose. It's a multi-purpose financial tool that adapts to your child's needs throughout their life as they get older and hit different milestones. It can be used for any expense, from education to real estate to retirement to starting business. It grows tax-free. So not having your wealth growth be eroded every year from taxes is a huge advantage. It provides lifelong financial security for them and probably also for whatever the next generation is, right? And this isn't just short-term savings. This is a lifelong plan. And it's hugely flexible. So once you set this thing up and it's properly funded, you have a tremendous amount of flexibility in what you can do with these things. And I've talked about a bunch of things today so far, but you can come up with other things that you want to spend the money on. It also gives you full financial control over when and how the money is accessed. So you, as the parent or as the grandparent, you keep full control of this thing until you choose to give it to whoever you want. So it's not just a way to save, it's a way to ensure financial independence and growth for your kids while keeping the control in your hands while they're still young. And then now I'm going to actually get a little bit deeper into this, and we're going to talk about who controls the money inside the $1 Million Baby Plan. So this question comes up all the time from parents and grandparents who controls the money inside the account? The answer is you do. The payer is the only person with any control or any access to the cash values that are inside the policy. When you want to give your child or your grandchild direct access to the account, you can easily do this by doing what's called you transfer the ownership to them. And this could be at any age. It doesn't have to be when they're 18 or when they're 25 or when they're 30. You can set it up at any age where you feel that your kid or your grandchild is mature enough to be able to receive this money and to use it in a responsible way. We can even set it up so that you don't give it to your kids during your lifetime, but the account transfers to them automatically when you pass away. So that's called setting up a contingent owner. So you pass away. When the owner passes away, the policy ownership automatically transfers to the contingent owner. So you have a huge amount of flexibility of when you transfer it to your kids. And then with the $1 Million Baby Plan, the ownership structure is very simple, but this is really very powerful as well. So number one, you have you, right? You are the parent or you're the grandparent and you're the one putting money into this plan. So that means you are the owner. Then you have the kid, whoever this is, whether it's your child or your grandchild. This is the insured person. So if something happens to this person, the life insurance pays out to whoever the beneficiaries are. And you decide who the beneficiaries are, and you can change the beneficiaries over time. And then you can also decide when the ownership transfers to either your kids, or it could be their parents. It could be to all sorts of different types of people that would have an interest in this, right? But because you own the policy, you have full authority over this thing and nobody else does. So you have authority over when and how funds are used. You have authority whether the loans or withdrawals are taken from the cash value. You have authority over when the child receives ownership of the policy. And then this level of control, it ensures long-term financial security, and it prevents irresponsible spending by young adults who may not have financial maturity yet to manage a large sum of money, right? So again, I really want to stress this. You decide when they get access. So your kids cannot withdraw, they cannot borrow, they cannot make any changes to the policy. Only you can do that. If they need the money for something, like we talked about, this university tuition, home down payment, start a business, whatever, they come to you, they ask you for the money, you get it from the policy, you get it to them, right? So this gives you the ability to guide their financial decisions and to ensure that the money is used wisely. And then eventually you're going to want to give it to them so that they can be independent on their own. So you can transfer this ownership at any age, right? So many parents and grandparents would transfer the ownership when the child is 20 or 25 or 30 years old, but there's no set rule here. You can do whatever you want, right? You can wait as long as you want, and you can, what you really want to do is you want to ensure that they have financial responsibility before you give them control over the plan, right? If you prefer, you can retain the ownership indefinitely, and you can continue to manage the policy yourself throughout your entire life. Then you can have what's called an automatic ownership transfer on death, right? So this is a tax-free way to do this. And then when you pass away, if you pass away and you haven't specifically transferred the ownership of the policy to the kids, you can set it up to automatically transfer if you pass away. So this is unlike a traditional inheritance because this transfer, it avoids probate. There's no estate tax on it. It ensures your child receives the full value of the policy without any sort of tax or government taking a chunk out of the legacy, right? It makes the $1 Million Baby Plan a really excellent estate planning tool, and it helps you pass down the wealth very efficiently. So now let's talk about something that you definitely want to do. You want to help to prevent financial mistakes. So as young adults, they may lack financial education, they may lack financial discipline that you need to manage large sums of money effectively. And by you maintaining control over the policy, you can protect your kids from making poor financial decisions. So, you don't want them to spend the money frivolously on going to Las Vegas or buying luxury items or doing whatever they saw some other kid do on Instagram. You can help them to avoid wasting the funds. And instead, you want to direct them to use these important funds for important life milestone events. It also helps them to avoid falling victim to bad investments or scams, right? They're young kids. They might not know how to look out for scams yet. So you can help with that. So with the $1 Million Baby Plan, you keep decision-making power so that the money is used responsibly. And again, most clients that we're working with, it's for education, it's for real estate, it's for business opportunities, or other big lifetime purchases. And then eventually it can be used for retirement security. This is another common question we get, right? It's how much do I need to contribute to make this thing work? So the strategy is very flexible and it can be tailored to your budget and to your long-term financial goal. The $250 per month strategy reaches $1 million at around age 65 if you start when there's 0. So if your goal is to set up your kids or your grandkids with a plan that reaches $1 million by retirement age, then we recommend this number of $250 per month for 20 years and then stop. You set it up right away in the first year that your child is born. And here's why it's actually important to set it up as early as possible, because the earlier you start, the longer the money has inside the policy to compound. So the $250 monthly investment for 6 years at 6% will continue to compound approximately to $1 million by age 65. So this strategy, it provides tax-free, guaranteed source of funds for your kids' major life expenses, and that is the real benefit. Even if you start later, we can adjust the contribution amounts so that they align with your child's age and with their expected financial milestone periods. Now, 250 is not set in stone. You can maximize this plan and have higher contributions to get you bigger returns, right? So many parents or grandparents choose to supercharge their plan by contributing more. Grandparents usually see this as funding more generational wealth. So we have grandparents that are putting in $500 or $750 or $1,000 a month for their kids, or sorry, for their grandkids. And this creates an even larger financial safety net. It ensures that that future generation benefits from as long of tax-free compound growth as possible. It also, when the grandparents put that money in for the grandkids, because it's tied to life insurance, this is also giving money to the great grandkids that they may never meet. Because there's life insurance there, eventually that is going to pay out to the next generation. We also have a lot of high net worth families that are using this strategies. So some families use this as part of a larger estate planning strategy. And then here it's really about how do you get money from this generation to this generation. So they're putting in, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 a year per child to ensure this multi-generational wealth transfer. And then these policies are used as a tax efficient savings vehicle and really to maximize returns and to reduce the taxable estate value. So you can put really large amounts into these policies for your kids or your grandkids, and it can be really customized to fit your family's specific goals and your situation, and especially your long-term financial goals. Another question that we get all the time, why haven't I heard about the $1 Million Baby Plan? And if it's so great, again, why haven't I heard about it? Well, really, that's kind of my fault. We created this name $1 Million Baby Plan for this strategy. We created it more than 10 years ago, but we never really did a good job of marketing it. So, sorry, that's my fault. Even with doing a bad job of the marketing that we've done, a lot of parents and families do find us and they come to us to set up these $1 Million Baby Plans, and we love them. The plan itself is really good for the family. It's really good for kids. If you really want to have a good day and live a great life, set these plans up for families all day. It makes me feel great. I love setting these things up. My promise is that we're going to do a better job of explaining the $1 Million Baby Plan and letting parents know that it's available and that yes, we can set this thing up for you. And we're going to put some effort behind marketing these things. We didn't invent this concept of using whole life insurance as a wealth building tool for children. That's been a thing that you could do for more than 100 years. But what we did is we coined the phrase $1 Million Baby Plan to describe this specific strategy. So like I was saying, right, this method has been around for decades, even centuries, but it's never been marketed or positioned in such a way that makes it easy for parents and grandparents to understand. And really, that's why I'm making this video right now. That's why we've taken the time to simplify the structure and to explain the concept in a way that helps families secure their children's financial future while giving them total control over the funds, right? So why haven't you heard about this from your bank or your investment advisor? Why don't they tell you about this? Well, most parents and grandparents manage their finances through banks and traditional investment firms, and that's exactly why you've never heard of this. Banks and investment firms don't sell whole life insurance, so they really have no incentive to tell you about this. Their focus is primarily on products that they manage, which would be RESPs, TFSAs, RRSPs, mutual funds, stock portfolios. These things are great, but they're not life insurance, right? And then financial advisors that work at banks are often limited in what they're allowed to offer, and life insurance is not part of the portfolio of things that they even talk about. So because the strategy is really only available through insurance companies, most people simply just don't know about it and probably will never hear about it unless they come across this video. So it's not something that your bank offers, and then that's why they're not going to educate you on it, because even if it's in your best interest, it's not something they offer. So at Safe Pacific, we really specialize in strategies that involve life insurance, investing, and leaving a legacy. This is what we do all day, every day. So the $1 Million Baby Plan is one of the most effective ways to build lasting wealth for your kids and for your grandkids. And it's something that we do all the time and that we love doing so much that we even made up a name for it. So what next? What are next steps if this is something that you want to do for your kids or your grandkids? Step one, fill out the form on our website, and then we're going to set up a Zoom meeting so that we can discuss setting up $1 million baby plan for your family. There's a link to book a meeting time. That'll be somewhere here below the video. And then how that's going to work is we're going to meet and we're going to get a better understanding of your current situation and what you're trying to do. This first meeting, we call it our discovery meeting. And then from there, we're going to put together some numbers that are really specific for your family. And then we're going to meet again so we can go over some options and say, hey, if you put this much, this is what it looks like. If you put this much, this is what it looks like. From there, we start putting the plan into action and start the application process and start opening up all the accounts. Now, if that sounds good to you, click the link that's below or fill out the form that's on our website at safepacific.com. There's a page there for $1 million baby plan, and we'll set up a meeting time. Now, please note, this is only for people in Canada. If you're in the United States, we cannot help you. If you're in any other country, we cannot help you. We only work with Canadians that are in Canada. Now, before you go, can you do me a huge favor? If you know somebody who's having or just had a baby, please send them this video. Most people don't know about these kinds of plans, so we really have to get the word out. There's a share button under this video, and there's sharing links on our page all over our website. Anybody that's just recently had a kid or that's currently pregnant, this is an ideal thing for them. Or any grandparents who want to take care of their grandkids. I know grandparents love spending money on their grandkids, and this is a great way that you can put some money in today that's going to last them for their entire life, and that will be used for the good things, the good milestones along their lives. So that's it for me today. I'll see you next time, or maybe I'll see you if you click that link to book a meeting.